Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen will join the Gauteng MEC Vuyiswa Ramokgopa for the provincial leg of the national mass vaccination rollout in Heidelberg. The program begins with an engagement session at the Suikerbos Nature Reserve, where farmers and stakeholders will meet government officials. This will be followed by a vaccination demonstration that's in Katlehong, where communal herds will be vaccinated. SABC News reporter Puseletso Mokoena is there for us. Puseletso, a very good morning to you. Thanks indeed for your time. This certainly must be the moment, I guess, that farmers have been waiting for.
Thank you so much, Griselda. Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers. Yes, indeed, we're here at the Suikerbos Nature Reserve in Heidelberg. This is where we will be meeting with the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development in the province of Gauteng, MEC Vuyiswa Ramokgopa, and the Minister of Agriculture, who is John Steenhuisen. You'd remember that the South African country received 70,000 doses of vaccine in two weeks ago, and this is where the rolling out will be. But for now, we are expecting stakeholder engagement from the MEC and the Minister himself to be engaging with the farmers on some of the work that they have done and some of the updated stats in the province as it's the province of Gauteng. About 230 cases of FMD were reported. You remember that the FMD is a foot and mouth disease that is affecting the livestock. And as it stands in Gauteng, as I've said, about 230 cases have been reported, and countrywide, about 1,000 cases have been reported. So this is where the rolling out of the vaccine will take place. But we are expected to be moving to Katlehong, whereby the communal heads will also be vaccinated, and the farmers will also be shown on how to go about with vaccinating their animals. But we understand that the farmers must be very happy, and we will make sure that we are speaking to them as to just to find out how are they feeling, because you'd remember that some of them were even planning to approach the courts in order for them to, for the Department of Agriculture rather, to accelerate the process of having vaccines or of bringing the vaccines in the country, because you must remember that the law prohibits the farmers to go privately and seek help for their animals. So they were planning to approach the courts to ensure that they are challenging this prohibition of the law. But we understand that right now they must be very happy, because this means that this will be an end for the this will be an end for the problem that they were facing. That this will be an end for the problem that they were facing in terms of vaccinating their animals.
Puseletso, you are moving to the Katlehong area, I understand. This is now the first batch, as you've mentioned, of vaccines that will be administered. Just talk us through, from this phase, where do they move to next? And maybe in a conversation that you might have had with farmers this morning, I mean, the expectation is that this process will move quite fast, given the severity of the situation.
Yes, indeed, Griselda, we will be moving to Katlehong, as I've said, whereby the farmers will be shown the demonstration of how to go about with vaccinating their animals or their cattle. But we understand that they must be very happy, as I've said to you. But we're going to make sure that we speak to them, we have an interview with them, and maybe we'll cross live with them just to speak to them on how are they feeling, because we understand that they've been hoping for this moment for the longest time. But now that it's here, they must be very happy.
Authorities are also warning that vaccines alone are not a silver bullet, if you may, but remain a critical tool in curbing the spread. Do we know what other interventions are being explored, Puseletso?
Well, as I've said, Griselda, that we are expecting a stakeholder engagement from the MEC of Agriculture and Rural Development, Vuyiswa Ramokgopa, and the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen. We are expecting a stakeholder engagement whereby they will be engaging on some of the work that they have done before and some of the work that they will be continuing to do in order to ensure that the vaccination rollout keeps on coming back. And we understand that authorities have been saying that vaccine alone is not enough, but we will understand and maybe ask some of the questions on how are they going to ensure that they bring some of the measures to ensure that we bring an end to this disease of FMD.
All right, Puseletso, and of course about 1,000 cases have so far been confirmed countrywide. Farmers are saying, however, they had said that the vaccines had not reached them. I guess this is the start of that rollout process. I guess we'll get an understanding of where we will see the vaccines move to at a later stage, and perhaps some of the questions that I still have, we'll probably get answers to that in that engagement. But some plan, to take government to court, arguing that, delays in the value chain are hampering access, saying, they want the right to source vaccines directly from these private importers. Any word on that as yet, or am I jumping the gun once again? We're likely to hear that in that briefing that you'll be attending.
I think we are jumping the gun, Griselda, and we will be hearing from the briefing that is about to start any minute from now, because I see some of the people, they started to be flocking in. So I think the briefing will be taking place anytime from now. It will be very nice if we take it live so that we can feed the live visuals and the live happenings of the briefing that will be taking space any minute from now. But of course, you'd remember that, as I've said before, that the law prohibits the farmers to go privately and seek for the vaccination. We'll understand more, I think, during the briefing that will be taking place on some of the questions that we have for the department.
All right, Puseletso, I guess we'll get more details as that briefing gets underway to some of these pertinent questions that I've put to you. Perhaps you will be our eyes and ears and pose those questions for us to the powers that be, so that we're able to at least get some of those answers from those that are at that media briefing today. The Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen being joined by the Gauteng MEC Vuyiswa Ramokgopa. That's, of course, as the rollout of the vaccinations takes place. This, of course, relating to foot and mouth disease. We're expecting a demonstration in Katlehong, as my colleague has pointed out. This is the first phase to try and deal with this. The program is going to begin with an engagement session, we understand, at the Suikerbos Nature Reserve, where farmers and stakeholders, we understand, are going to meet these government officials. In fact, take a look at John Steenhuisen, the Agriculture Minister, who's just taken his seat. We do apologize. We see that our visuals are a bit shaky at this time. We'll take you there as soon as we get that media briefing underway, as soon as it gets underway. Perhaps some of these questions that we have about the rollout. This is, of course, the first phase. Where to next? What are some of the concerns from the farmers, where some of these farmers are indicating that, this is not just a silver bullet intervention, that vaccines alone are not a silver bullet, but to remain a critical tool. Perhaps other interventions that we might hear from the Agriculture Minister and his team there, with the number of cases, I guess, at about, over 1,000, about 1,000. Farmers also raising concerns that those vaccines have not reached them. This is the start of that phase. And of course, those also threatening to take government to court, arguing that the delays in the value chain are hampering access, and they want to go directly to some of these private importers. We'll get answers to some of those questions. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with more news. Stay with us.